let's see. Does anybody know where we left off in the PDF? Oh, what page was that?
Page 49.
40.
Yes, if we could have the narrator up. Thank you, Laura Lila. And Lost as Hebdell. And we'll need, of course, Shay as, yes, and Rocky is playing Cert. We have Laura as the first giant. We need more giants, actually. Vadir, you're also up this week as the madman. And there is a prisoner.
I thought the prisoner was dead. Or is,
No.
there was? Oh, that's right.
He has a
there was
couple
one
lines.
prisoner and one madman. Right.
Yes.
I'm getting
Toward
better.
Thank you, Rocky.
Envy is a louse.
I think he should be the madman. Oh, he can't.
Yeah. Okay. We also, if I could have maybe Vetty as the prisoner voice, that would be helpful. We need another giant, which Muscle Spark, would you be the second giant in the first conversation here?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll do Steg. I think that's everybody.
Okay, are we ready?
Do we have any audience?
You know, there were a lot of giants in the beginning. You know, there were the giants that were talking, carrying the prisoners.
There are, but we're going to have the two giants kind of be the ongoing two giants through this thing, I think.
Okay, they gotta know they gotta cover all the giants.
Yeah.
Is Grocky doing a giant? He's a great giant.
Oh, sure. Get him up, Rocky. Come on up.
Oh yeah, he's a really good giant. You know, I'm gonna go sit down there, and somebody can sit on the stool because I just have I'm way at the end.
Well, people can sit on the stage too.
That's right.
But you need somebody to watch over here.
I'm hoping we can get to page 53 where Shay says, why would that be? After Hebdal says that if we are held here, it will be the worst of days for gods and men.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get that far.
Oh, we can get that far.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes. Is everyone ready? If they are,
Ready.
Yes, ready.
Ready.
take one.
Ready.
The agonizing hours that followed left little detailed impression on Harold Shay's mind. They would not, he told himself, even while experiencing them. The impression was certainly painful while being undergone. There was nothing to see but misty darkness, nothing to feel but breakneck speed and the torment of his bonds. He could twist his head a little, but of their path could obtain no impression, but now and then the ghost of a boulder or a clump of trees momentarily lit by the fiery eyes of the horses. Every time he thought of the speed they were making across the rough and winding route, his stomach crawled, and the muscles of his right leg tensed as he tried to apply an imaginary automobile brake. When the sky finally turned to its wearisome blotting paper gray, the air was a little warmer, though still raw. A light drizzle was sifting down. There was a countryside of a type totally unfamiliar to Shay. A boundless plain of tumbled black rock rose here and there to cones of varying size. Some of the cones smoked, and little pennons of steam wafted from cracks in the basalt. The vegetation consisted mostly of clumps of small, palm-like tree ferns in the depressions. They had slowed down to a fast trot, the horses picking their way over the ropey bands of old lava flows. Now and again, one or more fire giants would detach themselves from the party and set off on a tangent to the main course. Finally, a score of the giants clustered around the horse that bore the prisoners, making toward a particularly large cone from whose flanks a number of smoke plumes rose through the drizzle. To Shay, the fire giants still looked pretty much alike, but he had no difficulty in picking out the big, authoritative one who had directed his capture. They halted in front of a gash in the rock. The giants dismounted and one by one led their steeds through the opening. The animals' hooves rang, echoing on the rock floor of the passage, which sprang above their heads in a lofty vault, till it suddenly ended in a right-angled turn. The cavalcade halted. Shay heard a banging of metal on metal, the creak of a rusty hinge, and a giant voice that cried,
What you want? It's the gang back from Jotunheim. We got one of the Essers and Devane. Tell Lord Cert. How'd you make out? At Utgard.
Wowsy. Thor showed up. He spotted the hammer somehow, the scum, and called the tomb and busted things wide open. It was that smart aleck Loki, I think.
Laura?
Oh, okay. What was the matter with the Sons of the Wolf? They know what to do about old red whiskers.
Didn't show. I suppose we gotta wait for the time for them to come around.
The horses tramped on. As they passed the gatekeeper, Shay noticed that he held a sword along with which flickered a yellow flame with long, curling smoke rising from it, as though burning oil were running down the blade. Ahead, and slanting downward, the place they had entered seemed an underground hall of vaguely huge proportions, full of great pillars. Flares of yellow light threw changing shadows as they moved. There was a stench of sulfur and a dull, machine-like banging. As the horses halted behind some pillars that grew together to make another passage, a thin shriek ululated in the distance.
Bring the prisoners along. Lord Cert wants to judge him. I don't think that's me, I'm not sure.
That's good, that's good. Just a giant.
Okay.
Shay felt himself removed and tucked under a giant's arm like a bundle. It was a method of progress that woke all the agonies in his body. The giant was carrying him face down so that he could see nothing but the stone floor with its flickering shadows. The place stank. A door opened, and there was a babble of giant voices. Shay was flung upright. He would have fallen if the giant who had been carrying him had not propped him up. He was in a torch-lit hall, very hot, with fire giants standing all around, grinning, pointing, and talking, some of them drinking. But he had no more than a glance for them. Right in front, facing him, flanked by two guards who carried the curious burning swords, sat the biggest giant of all. A giant dwarf. That is, he was a full giant in size, at least 11 feet tall. but with the squat bandy legs and the short arms and huge necklace head of a dwarf. His hair hung lank around the nastiest grin Shay had ever seen. Somebody's speaker? When he spoke, the voice had not the rumble of the other giants, but a reedy, mocking falsetto.
Welcome, Lord Heimdall, to Muspelheim. We're delighted to have you here. I fear gods and men will be somewhat late in assembling for the battle without their hornblower. But at least we can give you the comforts of one of our best dungeons. If you must have music, we will provide a willow whistle. Surely so skilled a musician as yourself could make it heard throughout the 9 worlds.
Heimdall kept his air of dignity.
Bold are your words, Surt, but it is yet to be seen whether your deeds match them when you stand on Vigrid Plain. It may be that I have small power against you of the Muspelheim blood, yet I have a brother named Frey, and it is said that if you two come face to face, he will be your master.
Surt sucked 2 fingers to indicate his contempt.
It is also said, most stupid of godlings, that Frey is powerless without his sword. Would you like to know where the enchanted blade Hundingspanner is? Look behind you, Lord Heimdall.
Shay followed the direction of Heimdall's eyes. Sure enough, on the wall there hung a great 2-handed sword, its blade gleaming brightly in that place of glooms, its hilt all worked with gold up to the jeweled pommel.
While it hangs there, most stupid of Issa, I am safe. Have you been wondering why that famous eyesight of yours did not light on it before? Now you know, most easily deceived. In Muspelheim we have found the spells that make Heimdall powerless.
Heimdall was unimpressed.
Thor has his hammer back. Not a few of your fire giants' heads will bear witness, if you can find them.
Surt scowled and thrust his jaw forward, but his piping voice was as serene and mocking as before.
Now that really gives me an idea. I thank you, Lord Heimdall. Who would have thought it possible to learn anything from one of the Issa? Score!
A lop-eared giant shuffled forward.
What you want, boss?
Right to the gates of Asgard. Tell them I have their horn tutor here. I will gladly send the nuisance back to his relatives, but in exchange I want that sword of his, the one they call Head. I am collecting God's swords, and we shall see, Lord Heimdall, how you fare against the frost giants without yours.
He grinned all around his face, and the fire giants in the background slapped their knees and whooped.
Pretty hot stuff, boss. Ain't he smart? 2 of the 4 great weapons. Boy, will we show them.
Show 'em.
Surt gazed at Shay and Heimdall for a moment, enjoying to the utmost the roar of appreciation and Heimdall's sudden pallor. Then he made a gesture of dismissal.
Take the animals away and put them in a dungeon before I die laughing.
Shay felt himself seized once more and carried off face downward in the same ignominious position as before. Down, down, down they went, stumbling through the lurid semi-dark. At last they came to a passage lined with cells, between whose bars the hollow eyes of previous arrivals stared at them. The stench had become overpowering. The commanding giant thundered,
"Stag!"
There was a stir in an alcove at the far end of the passage, and out came a scaly being about 5 feet tall, with an oversized head, a snub nose, and a pair of long, pointed ears. Instead of hair and beard, it had a worm-like excrescences on its head. They moved. The being squeaked.
Yes, Lord.
Got a couple more prisoners for you. Hey, what stinks?
Please, Lord, a mortal him die, 5 days gone.
You lug. And you left him in there?
No, Lord, here. Snog say no. Must have Lord's orders to do.
You damn nitwit. Take him out and give him to the furnace detail. Hi, wait. Take care of these prisoners first. Hi, bolt the door, somebody. We don't take no chances with the Aesir.
Steg set about efficiently stripping Shay and Heimdall. Shay wasn't especially afraid. So many extraordinary things had happened to him lately that the whole proceeding possessed an air of unreality. Besides, even the difficulties of such a place might not have been beyond the resources of a well-applied brain. Steg said,
Lord, must put in dead mortal's cell. No more, all full.
All right, get in there, yous.
The giant gave Shay a cuff that almost knocked him flat and sent him staggering toward the cell which Steg had opened. Shay avoided the mass of corruption at one side and looked for a place to sit down. There was none. The only furnishings of any land consisted of a bucket, whose purpose was obvious. Heimdall followed him in, still wearing his high, imperturbable air. Steg gathered up the corpse, went out, and slammed the door. The giant took hold of the bars and heaved on them. There was no visible lock or bolt, but the door stayed tight.
Oh, ho, ho. Don't the sleepless one look cute? When we get through with the other Aesir, we'll come back and show you some fun. Have yourselves a time.
With this farewell, the giants all tramped out. Fortunately, the air was warm enough so that Shay didn't mind the loss of his garments from a thermal point of view. Around them the dungeon was silent, save for a drip of water somewhere and the occasional rustle of a prisoner in his cell. Across from Shay there was a clank of chains. An emaciated figure with a wildly disordered beard shuffled up to the bars and screamed.
Isn't that the madman?
That's Vidir.
Vidir, are you there?
Shall we just go on and shuffle back again?
What means he?
From the right came a muffled answer.
None knows. He says it every hour. He is mad, as you will be.
Cheerful place.
Is it not? Worse have I seen, but happily without being confined therein. I will say that for a mortal, you are not without spirit, Turnip Herald. Your demeanor likes me well.
Thanks.
Shay had not entirely forgotten his irritation over Heimdall's patronizing manner, but the sleepless one held his interest more than the choleric and rather slow-witted Thor or the sneering Loki.
If you don't mind my asking, Golden One, why can't you just use your powers to get out?
To all things there is a limit, of size, of power, and of duration. Wide is the lifetime of a god, wider than of 1,000 of your feeble species one after the other, yet even gods old and die. Likewise, as to these fire giants and their chief, Sort, that worst of beings, I have not much strength. If my brother Frey were here now, or if we were among the frost giants, I could overcome the magic of that door.
How do you mean?
It has no lock, yet it will not open save when an authorized person pulls it, and with intent to open. Look now.
Heimdall pushed against the bars without effect.
If you will be quiet for a while, I will try to see my way out of this place.
The sleepless one leaned back against the wall, his eyes moving restlessly about. His body quivered with energy, in spite of his relaxed position.
Not too well can I see. There is so much magic here, fire magic of a kind both evil and difficult, that it hurts my head. Yet this much I see clearly. Around us all is rock, with no entrance but the way by which we came. Beyond that there lies a passage with trolls to watch it. Ugh, disgusting creatures.
The golden-haired god gave a shudder of repugnance.
Can you see beyond?
A little. Beyond the trolls, a ledge sits over a pile of molten slag at the entrance of the hall where the flaming swords are forged. And then...
His forehead contracted. His lips moved a little.
a giant sits by the pool of slag. No more can I see.
Heimdall relapsed into gloomy silence. Shay felt considerable respect and some liking for him, but it is hard to be friendly with a god, even in a prison cell. Thialfi's cheerful human warmth was missing. Steg re-entered the cell hall. One of the prisoners called out.
Good Steg, a little water, please. I die of thirst.
Steg turned his head a trifle.
Dinner time soon, slave.
The prisoner gave a yell of anger and shouted abuse at the troll, who continued down to his alcove in the most perfect indifference. Here he hoisted himself onto a broken-down stool, dropped his chin on his chest, and apparently went to sleep.
Nice guy.
The prisoner across the way came to the front of his cell and shrieked.
Yigli is aroused.
The troll is not asleep. I can hear his thoughts, for he is of a race that can hardly think at all without moving the lips, but I cannot make them out. Harold, you see a thing that is uncommon, namely, one of the Aesir confessing he is beaten. But there is this... But there is this to be said. If we are held here, it will be the worst of days for gods and men.
Why would that be?
So
Is
near
this a good place? Is this a good place to stop, or should we continue?
Well, what do you say, Vidaf? What about
We should keep going.
Why don't we go to the next hash marks, at least?
Okay.
So near is the balance of strength, gods against giants, that the issue of what will happen at the time hangs by a thread. If we come late to the field, we shall surely lose. The giants will hold the issues against our mustering, and I am here in this cell, with my gift of eyesight that can see them in time to warn. I am here, and the Yalar horn, the roaring trumpet that would call the gods and heroes to the field, is at Sverre's house.
Why don't the Aesir attack the giants before the giants are ready, if they know there's going to be a war anyway?
Heimdall stared at him.
You know not the law of the Nine Worlds, Harold. We Aesir cannot attack the giants altogether before the time. Men and gods live by law, else they would be but giants.
He began to pace back and forth with rapid steps, his forehead set in a frown. She noted that even at this moment The sleepless one was careful to place one foot before the other to best display the litheness of his walk.
Surely they'll miss you. Can't they set other guides to watch the giants get together, or something?
Immortal thoughts. Aye. Set other guards here and there. Listen, Turnip Herald, Herald the Fool. Of all us Aesir, Frey is the best, the only one who can stand before Surt with weapons in hand. Yet the worlds are so made, and we cannot change it, that one race Frey fears. Against the frost giants he has no power. Only I and my sword head can deal with them, and if I am not there to lead my band against the frost giants, we shall live to something less than a ripe old age thereafter.
I'm sorry, sir.
Aye, no matter. Come, let us play the game of questions. Few and ill are the rise from brooding.
Is that a good place?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, well,